So a trailer came out for a movie that I am very interested in. And obviously, as a male in my 20s, I have a fascination with Bob Dylan, as basically every male in their 20s has. And when you have Timothee Chalamet starring as Bob Dylan in this era of his music, where he's making the jump to electric music and using that element to like make folk music, like, yeah, of course, I'm like incredibly jazzed to just talk about this movie, A Complete Unknown. I didn't think this movie was coming out this year. I knew they had been filming it. I knew James Mangold had been working on this movie. I just didn't think it was going to come out 2024. I thought it was going to be a 2025 release. James Mangold is directing this movie. He's done such movies as Ford versus Ferrari. Last year he did Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. He directed the incredible Logan, and he of course directed the famous music biopic film of Johnny Cash, Walk the Line. This movie also has Johnny Cash, which we'll talk about in a second, but this is A Complete Unknown. This is based on the Elijah Wald book, Dylan Goes Electric. It follows the controversy surrounding the switch to be electrically amplified instrumentation by Bob Dylan. This is a period of Bob Dylan's life that I am just incredibly fascinated in. And like Timothee Chalamet as the star. And then we see like Ed Norton as Pete Seeger in this movie. Like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, no, like this is like, I am so excited to talk about this movie. And I'm going to be just like talking about a little bit of other things related to this movie. Rolling Stones had a really interesting aspect that I want to talk about post this, but let's just get into this and let's do a quick trailer reaction. I should just note I've seen this trailer already a few times, but I'm going to be doing it again, which let's start it now, which in 3, 2, 1, press play now. So obviously we're about to see it's going to be, this is Edward Norton talking. He's Seeger in this movie, which, come on, like Ed Norton as Pete Seeger, like, yeah. And what's like fascinating about this is like Chalamet like is too handsome to play Bob Dylan. Like quite clearly, Chalamet is one of the most good looking guys of his age right now. Much better looking than I am, but like he has the spirit, and maybe it's just the hair, maybe it's just the look, but listen to him sing right here. Like this is such a, this isn't Bob Dylan singing, and it's very clear. It's very clearly Timothee Chalamet. He is doing his inspiration of it, and it's close enough that it doesn't bother me. It feels like an artist putting their own spin on it. Like I just love this part specifically. I shouldn't sing over this when I'm trying to show. Forest. Just like that. Just that ability to put that type of emphasis right there. Like that feels like a very Dylan singing. Anyone who's seen Dylan live knows Dylan sings very differently than how he records an album. Like the live version of a song takes a whole different meaning to it. And like we're definitely going to see famous moments from this movie. We're going to see famous iconographic moments. Like it looks like we see a little bit of the free wheeling Bob Dylan like album cover there. Like it all just looks really special and is coming together in a really beautiful way.
Good start.
And yeah, that's what it is. It's a good start. Like, yeah, if you're selling me on a movie, Timothee Chalamet, James Mangold, Elle Fanning, like there's so much to like here. And now that we're done with this trailer, like people who love Bob Dylan, who have seen him in concert, like I think they all kind of walk around with the same feeling post seeing him in concert, which was that a little underwhelming? Was Dylan that good live? And I remember seeing him. I saw him in concert 2022, and the show started at 8 p.m. And make no mistake, the show started at 8 p.m. I walked into the auditorium 8 p.m., like 10 seconds late, and the doors had closed for the first song. Dylan doesn't like people walking through the first song. Legitimately, it was just because security had a little bit of a, slowness getting me through the door. And like, so I'm outside for the first 5 minutes of the concerts. He's doing the Rough and Rowdy Way album, which I believe is 2020 is when that album was released. And it's only that album. He plays none of the hits. Even the way he plays those big songs on Rough and Rowdy Way, it doesn't sound anything like the music. Like, it's very hard to understand him. Now, true, I saw Dylan, I think he was like 82 when I saw him, maybe 80, but he was definitely up there in age. And it just kind of instantly, like, he is kind of who you've always kind of thought he is. He's up there on stage, 75 minutes. And I'm pretty close to the stage. Like, I see him, he's up there for 75 minutes. He's playing the piano, no small talk with the audience. Like, he plays a song, then it's on to the next song, and then he's on to the next song. It's on to the next song. And it's all, like I said, from the new album. He's just jamming out up there. 75 minutes hits. He waves to the crowd. He ends with Every Grain of Sand, which is from, I'm blanking on the album name right now. It's the last of his Christian trilogy. Shot of Love is the album. Like, he ends with that and he walks off stage, and that's Bob Dylan. And when you're walking out, you're just like, was that a great concert? Like, I don't know, but like, that's Bob Dylan. That's what I wanted to kind of see out of him. And that's the energy that Timothee Chalamet has to capture. And obviously we've had movies made about Bob Dylan. We've had some excellent documentaries done. Rolling Thunder is one that Martin Scorsese, one that he directed. I think Martin Scorsese's done one or two. We have other ones. Todd Haynes did a movie in 2007 that was really good. That's Christian Bale. I believe Cate Blanchett, like a bunch of different actors, like played different versions of Dylan's life. And it's not like very directly Dylan, but it's very clearly is Dylan. Like, it's a very fascinating way to tell that story and very fitting for Bob Dylan, the figure. But this movie, Complete Unknown, definitely looks like it's a bit more traditional. I love the style that this movie's going for. I just like, I get it. I get that some people are like, oh, this is James Mangold returning to the well. Like, I don't care. Like, you know, Walk the Line has become a punchline because it is the one aspect that we can all kind of like come together and like kind of agree on, like, oh, okay, like that is kind of the universally accepted, like that is when we're talking music biopics, that's kind of a big version of inspiration. Like, it's very clearly parodied in Walk Hard. Obviously that movie also borrows on Ray, but like I said, you can tell where that movie is getting its inspiration. I don't mind him returning to this. Like, I really don't. Like, him doing a Bob Dylan movie, like, good for him. Chalamet, Bob Dylan, Ed Norton, Pete Seeger, Elle Fanning as Sylvie Russo, who is Bob Dylan's love interest and songwriter at this time. Like, so much there already. Monica Barbaro as Joan Baez. I believe that's how you pronounce Baez's last name. Boyd Holbrook is Johnny Cash. Like, Boyd Holbrook as Johnny Cash is something that I get to see in this movie. Scoot McNairy as Woody Guthrie is something I get to see in this movie. Dan Fogler's in this movie. Like, oh my God, like, I'm just getting so excited. And if there was any more reason, I should say, to get excited, Rolling Stone, Brian Hyatt did an interview / discussion with James Mangold. I'm going to just read the first 2 lines of this Rolling Stones article, I believe released today. Before director James Mangold began production on his Bob Dylan movie, A Complete Unknown, the subject of the film asked him a pointed question. The first time I sat down with him, Mangold says, Bob said, "What's this movie about, Jim?" I said, "It's about a guy who's choking to death in Minnesota and leaves behind all of his friends and family and reinvents himself in a brand new place, makes new friends, builds a new family, becomes phenomenally successful, starts to choke to death again, and runs away." Dylan took all of that in and smiled. "I like that," he said. Like, that is a story of Bob Dylan I want to see. Like, if you're just selling a movie on a pitch, that's a great pitch for a Bob Dylan movie. Like, I'm so sold on this. Like, I really cannot wait. I can't believe I have this much thought on the trailer, but yeah, like, this is an era of Bob Dylan that I love. This is music of Bob Dylan that is my favorite of his, of which he has a lot. And he also has a lot of music that I don't always fully connect to. Love the fact that James Mangold is kind of willing to go back and explore this world, and specifically because obviously Johnny Cash is going to be in this movie. Like, the fact that, like, he's willing to go back into that, like, is exciting. Like, to me, that says he has more to say, and that's what I'm fascinated with. And if this movie's great, like, Timothée Chalamet is having a hell of a run. Like, December, Wonka, Dune 2 in, what was that? That was March of 2024. And then to end this year, it seems like it is going to be A Complete Unknown. Like, all of that in 12 months. Like, Dylan Dune Chu Wonka, like, oh my God, this guy's run is impeccable, and I'm so excited to see it. So those are my brief thoughts on A Complete Unknown. So trailer did its job. So excited for this. Cannot wait to see Chalamet as Bob Dylan. This quickly just jumped into one of my most anticipated movies of the year. And you know what? I'm calling the shot now. Chalamet, if this movie's good, I think this is going to be his Oscar nomination. And which is shocking because I also said the same thing about Dune Part II, a movie I didn't love, but walking out, I'm like, Chalamet has the juice in that movie. Like, oh my God, this might be an undeniable performance for Best Actor. Kind of feel like this is probably the more traditional route. Maybe he gets a double one. I kind of doubt that, but you never know with this. So Chalamet having a hell of a year. So excited for A Complete Unknown. And I'll be following this story closely. By the way, Chalamet produces this film. So that's exciting. He clearly cares and wants to tell this story. Thank you all for watching, and subscribe to my channel if you will.